Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to week 4 of our online distance learning social studies class. This week we are covering pages 148 to 153, the Israelite kingdom. I wanted to share again some resources that I have that aren't available to you in your book to give you a little clearer picture of what's going on in that chapter and also just some additional information. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me share my screen with you. All right, so first we're going to go over some of the main ideas of this section, and then we'll go into some of those additional resources. So first we have our our bullet pointed main ideas of our chapter. The Israelites and the Philistines were in conflict until King David and his army defeated the Philistines. King David united the 12 tribes of Israel and founded the capital of Jerusalem. Under David's rule, the Israelites grew prosperous. And lastly, King Solomon, the son of David, brought peace to the region. However, many Israelites turned against him, and eventually disagreements split the kingdom. So if that's something that you wanted to put in your notes here as the main ideas of this section. Let me get to our So after King Solomon's death, the Israelites were divided into two kingdoms, Israel and Judah. The Assyrians invaded Israel and mixed with the Israelites to form a new combined culture called the Samaritans. Excuse me, that was a tough one to get out. And the Chaldeans retook Jerusalem, exiling many people from Judah to Babylon. And Judean culture, prophets were respected people who helped others lead a moral life and connect with God. So again, those are our main ideas for this section. Again, if you wanted to take the time to take these down in your notebook for notes for this week, that is up to you. All right, let me get to our first additional resource. We have the biography of King David. So again, King David's son, King Solomon. The Hebrew Bible tells the story of David, a shepherd boy who killed the giant Philistine warrior Goliath. Some of you may know that story, David and Goliath. It is referred to situations today where something much larger is defeated by something smaller, where for those of you that may know that story, David defeated the Philistine Goliath using just a rock and his slingshot to defeat that large opponent. Later, David became a famous warrior and Israel's greatest king. According to the Hebrew Bible, David was anointed king by the prophet Samuel. In anointing David, Samuel poured oil on David's head as a sign that God chose David to be the king of Israel. According to the Hebrew Bible, David had to be called in from the fields where he was tending his sheep when Samuel arrived to anoint him. To anoint is to pour oil over one's head in a ritual. Next, we have the 12 tribes of Israel. Jacob, the grandson of Abraham, had 12 sons. The descendants of these sons later became known as the 12 tribes of Israel. So these are our 12 tribes. Judah was the fourth son of Jacob. His name comes from the Hebrew word meaning gratitude. It was his idea to sell Joseph into slavery rather than leave him to die in a pit. Dan was the fifth son of Jacob. He was also involved in the plan to sell his brother Joseph into slavery. Levi was the third son of Jacob. His followers refused to worship the idol of the golden calf. Instead, they served God. Zebulun was the 10th son of Jacob. His tribe was mentioned in the Song of Deborah. Asher was the 8th son of Jacob. He was part of the plot to sell his brother Joseph into slavery. Benjamin was the 12th son of Jacob. Next to Joseph, he was Jacob's favorite son. Benjamin means son of my right hand. Gad was the 7th son of Jacob. His name comes from the Hebrew word meaning troop. Joseph was the 11th son of Jacob. He was a sheep herder and the favorite son of Jacob. The other brothers were jealous of him and plotted to sell him into slavery. Reuben was the firstborn son of Jacob. He convinced his brothers not to kill Joseph, but to entrap him in a pit. He planned to return and rescue Joseph. Naphtali was the 6th son of Jacob. His mother was the maidservant of Jacob's wife, Rachel Naphtali, which means running deer. Simeon was the 2nd son of Jacob. He destroyed the village of Shechem to avenge an attack on his sister Dinah. Issachar was the 9th son of Jacob. Issachar's descendants are thought by Jews to be the men of learning. His name is related to Isaac and means man of reward. So those are the 12 tribes of Israel. Next, we have King David's son, King Solomon. Solomon was incredibly wealthy. It is said that he owned 12,000 horses with horsemen and 1,400 chariots. He wrote 3,000 proverbs and 1,005 songs. Solomon was known for his wisdom. One famous story, known as the Judgment of Solomon, tells of his settling of a disagreement over who was the true mother of a child. To solve the problem, he ordered that child be cut in half. Only one of the two women claiming to be the child's mother protested, saying that she'd rather see the child go to the other woman than see the child killed. According to the story, Solomon knew that this woman was the true parent, and he awarded the child to her. The temple built by Solomon was believed to be about 180 feet long and took 7 years to build. Here is a map of the kingdom of Israel in 922 BC. Here on our map, we have the Phoenicians. So you can see that the Phoenicians up here were in northern Israel. You have the kingdom of Israel, which was here in the south. You had the kingdom of Judah, which was in southern Israel. And here are the modern day boundaries of the kingdom of Israel. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, we have the prophets of Israel. The prophets were believed to be people chosen by God. The Hebrew word for prophet, a neveah, comes from a term that means fruit of the lips. The prophets were models of holiness, wisdom, and closeness to God. Prophets spoke to the people and taught them or communicated a message from God. The message was called a prophecy. Prophets taught that people could be faithful to God and respect each other. They claimed to interpret God's will and wanted people to lead righteous or just lives. Israelites also believed that God gave prophets the ability to predict future events. Again, so imagine the power of a prophet. First, we have Elijah. Elijah spoke out for God as one of the true deity. The Hebrew Bible says that Elijah challenged the Canaanite priest of the god Baal to a contest. The purpose of the contest was to prove the powers of God in Baal. The priest made offerings to get Baal's attention, but nothing happened. Elijah then called on God to accept his offerings. According to the Hebrew Bible, God sent fire that burnt the offering. That was taken as proof that the Israelite God's existence over Baal's God. Amos. Amos was a shepherd and a farmer before becoming a prophet. He preached that Israel's rich merchants should not ignore the problems of the poor. Amos stated, that God expected people to behave in a moral way. Prayers and offerings did not make up for bad deeds. Amos believed that God's blessing could only come if people changed their behaviors. Amos warned that Israel would be destroyed if people did not change their ways. Isaiah. The prophet Isaiah came from a wealthy Jerusalem family. During Isaiah's lifetime, Judah was threatened by the powerful Assyrian Empire. Isaiah called on Judah's king to rely on God for help against the enemy. Peace and prosperity, he stated, would come only if Judah obeyed God's law. The book of Isaiah in the Bible is credited to the prophet Isaiah. Isaiah too believed that Israel would be destroyed unless people turned back to God. Many Christians believe that Isaiah foresaw the birth of Jesus. Jeremiah lived in Jerusalem when the city was destroyed by the Chaldeans. Facing much opposition, Jeremiah criticized Judah's people for abandoning God and the Torah for the worship of other gods. Despite Judah's exile in Babylon, Jeremiah said that the people of Judah would one day return to their homeland if they turned back to God. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are the Israelite prophets. Again, we had Jeremiah, Isaiah, Amos, Elijah, Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you enjoyed my resources on this section of the book this week, The Kingdom of Israel. Again, that is pages 148 to 153. This week, we only have a guided reading worksheet along with a problem solving worksheet. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email, or I do have my office hours from 12 to 1 on Tuesday and Thursday. We have those Zoom meetings. If you have a question or just want to stop by to say hi, I know that these uncertain times are really starting to wear on people, and maybe a sense of anxiety uh, may be building. But just know that all of your teachers are here are here for you. And we are so excited for the next chapter in your lives as eighth graders. We have a few more weeks, so let's just get through it and start checking things off the list, and on to the next exciting thing in your life. Again, you'll be eighth graders, and before you know it, you'll be freshmen in high school and on to that chapter. So I just want everybody to know how much I miss all of you, and how much I think of all of you all the time, and how much I am so looking forward to getting back in the classroom, whatever that may look like here this next year. So again, on those Zoom meetings, I would love to see everybody's faces. If you want to just stop or just ask a question. Have a wonderful rest of week 4, and I will see you again in week 5. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.